This week's Retail Week is brought to you by Avail, Phosphorus Fertilizer Enhancer. Never stop pushing. Hello again, welcome to another edition of Crop Life Retail Week. It's Paul Schrimpf again with Eric Sfiligoj. I'm back from a couple days out. It was a whirlwind trip. Went down to
Atlanta and Chicago, right?
Yeah, went down to Atlanta, met with folks at AGCO for a while, and came up to Chicago and did a panel discussion on precision technology for the Seed Trade Association meeting there, which was Hyatt Regency, of course. Mm-hmm. Not bad digs and a fairly solid conference. I think we did a good job there. The AGCO visit was kind of interesting. We got a chance to sit with a number of key folks over there, and one of the things I thought was really good to hear was in terms of their look at precision. They're really looking to improve the equipment, to use the technology to improve how the equipment's performing, really, or what the equipment can control. From everything from seed placement to product, any kind of product placement, anything that's really happening with the rig itself. Using the technology to try to optimize how well the equipment operates, which is kind of good, I think, happening across the board with the big companies. When you talk to the folks on the chem side, the FERT side, it's really trying to use technology and use data that they can to improve the products that they already sell. No one's trying to go out there and build a data product or find some way to make a lot of money off of just data. I mean, the whole discussion's kind of pushed aside for the most part, and there's really a focus on how precision can help them build better equipment and be better partners to the retailers and farmers. So I thought that was a really positive thing. They're also working on with retailers on fleet optimization. They have a kind of a scheme that they go through to help retailers to ensure that their fleets are fully optimized, and so we'll be seeing more from AGCO on that front, I think, as well. So it was a good overall visit. I think it's good to see and a positive developments for retail overall. So I'm glad to be back. I got in about 11 o'clock last night, so it was a real whirlwind. But in any event, so what's happening? What was happening back in the office?
Well, actually, back in the office, I know, Paul, last week I promised a couple more highlights from the recent Agricultural Retailers Association meeting that took place 2 weeks ago now. And one of the speakers there, of course, Paul, was Farmers Business Network founder Emil Despende. Yes, thank you. And he was talking a little bit about, in this video clip, about what Farmers Business Network is trying to do in terms of setting up what he called networks.
Is very, very clear. And we are a data company. We get a lot of data on farmer operations all the way through agronomy information, but also financial information. And so the fact is, farmers are not making much money. I know there was a point when they did, when the commodity cycle was high. But farmers bear a lot of risk, and they make very little income. And you know how these P&Ls work, okay? All of you do. So this is our view of the world, and you might agree with this, you might disagree with it, but this is what we think. Okay? And this is not just for American farmers, but we think this is true for all farmers. So what do we do at FBN? We have a network-based approach, and I want to be clear about what a network is. Talk about software, we talk about precision ag. A network is something like a Facebook or a Twitter. I mean, how many of you here are on Facebook or Twitter? If you're not, your children are. I can tell you for sure. Whether you know it or not, they are on Facebook or Twitter, and probably Instagram. Those are networks. The value of a network increases to you because more people are on it. My dad is on Facebook now because he's like 70 years old, because he wants to see his grandkids, and my wife posts pictures of my kids on Facebook. Okay, so I got a 70-year-old person on Facebook. People will adopt technology because there's value. A network has tremendous value because of the content that's there.
It's interesting. I wasn't there for the presentation. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go to ARA this year. And it's funny. I got an email from just today from a reader who has been, I guess, a little upset that he's seen FBN coverage pretty heavily in both Crop Life and in the email newsletter. And I hope that's not perceived as somehow championing the technology. I think we all see it as a potential threat. I think we're trying to make folks aware that Earlier this year when we started getting really concerned about this, we were calling associations, and associations were like, that's interesting.
Yes.
I mean, that's something we should look into. So we've been on this and concerned about this for a long period of time, and we're certainly want to give voice to whatever they're saying, because it's going to help us be more competitive against some of the forces that they're going to bring, if they're indeed bringing more transparency and bringing more more of that kind of wave of negativity to the channel. It's just a reality, and it's something that we need. The more awareness we have, the more we can do legitimate battle in the marketplace to ensure people know the value that the retailers bring, and understand the things that we do well, and things like things like going to the field when there's problems with the products, taking things back, the storage aspect of it. There's I'm editorializing way too much here, but I mean, there's real value that retailers deliver that's built into some of the prices, and growers are simply just not aware, unless they're untethered to the kinds of services that we bring, that they're unaware of what those things are. So it's really important. I think seed was one of the things that came up. I think there's a question pointedly asked to those folks about that.
Yeah, Emil had a question regarding, well, what happens if you as a grower have bought soybean seed, for instance, from FBN, and some of the seed doesn't take, so you have to replant. It was pointed out that your retailers usually will make an agreement where they'll provide replacement seed at no cost to the growers. Emil basically didn't answer that question directly, but kind of danced around it a little bit. But the indication was that, if the grower wants to buy more seed, they'll sell it to them, but they're not going to give it to them as a replacement for free. So.
Yeah, there's a whole structure around that you might take for granted if things have gone well for you for forever, you haven't had any problems, and it's not a problem until you have one. And then when you have one, it's a terrible problem when you can't get the seed, you can't get response, and that's a value that retailers and frankly seed dealers and others provide. That's very, very important.
We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
We want our farmers to be successful, and if they're spending money to put on phosphate in particular, we like to put a veil with it so that a lot more of that gets into the plant. We know that a majority of it gets tied up in the soil before a plant has a chance to work with it. So we like to put a veil to increase that availability to the crop.
Well, welcome back. I guess we have some congratulations for product achievement
Yes.
from our folks at Crop Life Iron.
Yes, Paul. We presented the 10th annual Product of the Year Award at the ARA show, and I'm happy to report that our friends at Case IH won for their Trident sprayer spreader combo unit. Congratulations, of course, to everyone at Case on winning the Product of the Year Award. I think this is the 4th or 5th time they've won in the 10 years we've done that, Paul. So kudos to Case. And the only other thing to mention is a little bit, we always talk about the future, and I know I've been going over some of the projections for acreage plantings in 2018. It looks like corn's going to be a flat, 90.5 million acres, and soybean will be down slightly, 89 million acres, according to USDA. But USDA is projecting in the next few years that we're going to be talking about king soybean and not king corn, Paul. They're saying by 2019 it looks like the difference between the two will be negligible. It'll be about 91 million acres each, and that by 2020 we may have about 92 million acres of soybean planted versus 89 million for corn. So it looks like soybean is going to be king going forward.
I don't know. I think we have to find a new level of royalty, because king soybean sounds terrible.
Yeah, we'll have to come up with another word.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us to this edition of Crop Life Retail Week, and we'll see you next week.